You've reached the Peak Perspectives, with your hosts, AP and VC. Get to know Denver and the surrounding area through the people who make it special. We sit down for engaging interviews and discussions with individuals who have unique connections to the Mile High City and beyond. Welcome back to Peak Perspectives, Colorado. I'm your host, AP. We're going to divert a little bit from our normal format because some of you have been wondering where the hell Vic's been for the last couple episodes. And I found him. He's actually over in France right now. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn it over to him and let him introduce our special guest to you. Vic, go right ahead.
Bonsoir. How you doing, AP?
Doing well.
Oh, yeah, I learned just a little bit. It's good to be back on with you, man. Yeah, I thought, we were talking, and since I was going to be on vacation and traveling, I know people, whether in Denver or anywhere, at some point in time during the year, they want to go on vacation, they want to travel, maybe they want to stay in state, maybe they want to go out of state, some want to go out of the country. I definitely like going out of the country when I can. And this year, my trip took me to Switzerland and also here to Southwest France, where this guy that I met last year in London is the head of a company called Seymour Travels. This is Mark Seymour. And I want to thank you, Mark, first of all, because your schedule is so busy from sun up to sundown with scheduling and driving and getting appointments and all kind of stuff, counting, making sure that all the people are here with us. But give just a little bit of background of Mark Seymour and your company.
Very happy to, very happy to. It's in the modern era, say since COVID, post-COVID, the company's focused on small groups, 12 people maximum on our tours, 2 minivans, 2 guides in small regions of Europe, primarily Britain, but here in France, of course, in Greece as well. We like to use friendly, honest, sympathetic, compassionate tour guides, some of whom used to work for Rick Steves. They were a small group of about 6 people, and our group length, a tour length is about 2 weeks, sometimes as short as 10 days, but primarily 2 weeks, which is one that you're on right now. And we immerse ourselves in a region. We completely immerse ourselves. We try to teach a little bit of culture, a lot of history, but more importantly, we drink lots of wine and we eat lots of good food. And it works very well. The best thing in the morning, if I could, I would get everybody half drunk on a bottle of red wine before we go out in the vehicles. It makes my storytelling a lot easier. A lot.
Now you started
a lot more.
You started with Rick Steves, right?
I did. About 13 years ago. My wife actually, she's my wife now, she had been working with him for about 35 years as the chief French guide. And we got together in circumstances that brought us together. I moved to France to be with her and moved from America to be with her in France. And the rest, as I say, is history. I spent several years working with him, 13 years working with him, but at the same time building up my own company. And of course, when COVID came along, the time was right. I knew instinctively that the small groups would be the first out of the door when it came to lifting restrictions on COVID. And I know you had the same issues all over the States. We had them all over Europe. The shutdown was tight in France, particularly. And the only way I was going to get a business running or start to make a living again after 3 years of not making a living because of COVID. The only way it was going to become a living was to get the small groups going in small minivans. Small groups would be accepted in hotels. Small groups would be accepted in restaurants. Big groups wouldn't, and they weren't for another 12 months. So the company worked. We had a clientele, people like yourself, only Americans. We only ever asked for Americans to join us. And we've had a blast. We've had an absolute blast running it since COVID. It's been super. It's been a great experience.
Well, let's stop right there. You said only Americans. Why is that? Is there a special contact that relationship that is created with Americans versus another culture?
It's a really good question. I'm asked occasionally. It's two-part answer really. One is I'm a Brit. I would never tour with Brits. We know it all. I couldn't possibly travel with Brits. They would drive me nuts, absolutely drive me nuts. On the other hand, yes, I mean, I lived in the States on two separate occasions, once for 9 years, once for 7.5 years. And I love Americans. I've worked with them now, as I say, since I arrived in 1987 with my previous career. Um, so I love working with Americans. I think as an adult, I get your sense of humor. I get your level of compassion, and
Yeah.
that's a word that crops up with me a lot. So I like the way you wear your emotions on your shoulder.
Yeah.
The Brits don't. Everything is a facade. We joke about everything. We don't say anything meaningful unless there's a war, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Right.
But no, I love working with you guys. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Now, AP, if you hear any noise, as the song said, it's just me and the boys. But we are in a beautiful hotel restaurant here in what's the town we're in?
We're in a little place called Lucat, Leucate, Lucat.
And the owner is putting away dishes right now and walking back and forth and everything. Tell us the name of the hotel restaurant.
Yeah, the hotel restaurant here is it's called Hotel 1921. It's a 4-star hotel. They've been catering to our needs. They actually also own a fabulous restaurant on the beach here in Lucat.
Yeah.
Their season ended on the beach 3 weeks ago now. And as a result of that, Dominique, the owner of the hotel, his wife, her sister, who run the restaurant, wonderful, wonderful cuisine on the beach. They're now catering to us here in the hotel. So timing is everything. And I've timed it just right because we have these wonderful chefs available to us. They've been providing us with breakfast to die for. They've been providing us with dinners to die for. And today we just had probably the best buffet lunch that I have ever seen.
To die for.
Absolutely to die for, yes. And a wine tasting at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And I must say the hospitality here is tremendous. I guess that's the only word I can use right now or think of. Absolutely tremendous. The facility, the living or the hotel rooms are absolutely amazing, AP. So if you and Rose ever decide you want to take a little trip down to southwestern France, we're going to give you directions of how to get here and stay for a while.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to give us a pass.
Come and join me another time, AP. It's quite a unique setting actually, because this is a tiny. It's called Lucat Village, and it's a little French village in the shadow of the Pyrenees, right next to the Mediterranean. And if you can imagine a village in France in the 1960s, this is that village. Buildings crammed together, a tight single road running through it, a town square, village square, with a couple of large statues adorning it. And then this hotel, you wouldn't see that it is a hotel. You could walk down that street 50 times and you would not know that there's a 30-bedroom hotel here. There's one sign that says 1921. You walk in through one door, little door, and as you walk in, you realize that 6 or 7 of those buildings on that street are nothing more than a facade. The hotel is behind it. It's poured concrete. It's very modern. It's a bit of shabby chic in the reception area, but it's a very modern hotel with all of the bells and whistles. We like it very much. I shall be here again soon.
Well, as you can imagine, Mark is very much of a historian, AP, and a lot of ventures that his company takes people on are in areas that have a lot of history and a lot of stories behind all that. Talk a little bit about some of the countries that you take your tours.
I only go to. I'm a very selfish tour guide. I only go to places I personally have an interest in. It's not about the money. I don't need the money. It's not about money. It's about second career, late in life. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I go to places like the Greek islands, northern Greece, Albania, Macedonia, France. At the moment, we do a Burgundian tour, which focuses on wine. We do a Loire Valley, chateaus and gardens. We do a Brittany tour, standing stones, 90% of the world's standing stones within a 30-mile radius of the city of Van in Brittany. We do Normandy and the World War II beaches, the Canadian, the British, the American beaches, staying in a chateau when we do that. So I go to places where I can, through the eyes of people who lived before us, try and explain the history of some of those locations, some of those regions, and some very specific places in those regions. Britain, of course, is my forte. That's where I'm from. That's the love of my life. Britain reels me in, no matter how long I lived in America. I was always had one foot firmly entrenched in the United Kingdom. We do tours in the most northerly island of the British Isles, up in Shetland, on Shetland, I should say. Then the southernmost tip down in Cornwall. We do the Cotswolds, we do East Anglia, we do North Wales, we do Yorkshire Dales, all those things that Americans are familiar with. We go to those places, and then we dunk everybody into it from toe to head.
Yes.
I get them wet. I immerse them in the history, get them wet with historical anecdotes. And hopefully, I always say tour guiding, and it is only a second profession for me. Tour guiding to me is about painting a very colorful, vivid picture with very broad strokes. And you don't need to know dates. You don't need to know names of individuals. That's completely irrelevant. Even the best Mensa candidate will only ever remember 2 or 3% of that stuff. But if you understand what happened in context, you'll take that story home with you, and you'll remember it, and you'll tell your kids about it. And that's what's important to me: storytelling.
Last year we took the trip. It was 12 days of Christmas, and that was in London and Bath.
Yes, yeah.
And we spent Thanksgiving Day there. We went to St. Paul's Cathedral.
Yeah,
that they had a special ceremony for the Americans on Thanksgiving Day.
yeah. It's very special. There is obviously a large American staff living and working in Britain, both in the military, in the diplomatic service, in the universities. And there's a very special service held in St. Paul's Cathedral for those people, for those Americans, purely for those Americans. It attracts people like me too. We know about it because we think this is a bit curious.
Yeah.
Of course, when we have Americans with us, we'll take you there too. And it's fabulous. I mean, the cathedral is all but filled. And it's American voices, and everybody dresses up to the nines. They arrive in their suits and ties, except for these guys. Our group members show up in the jeans and baggy t-shirts.
It was very impressive. Very impressive.
Going back a little bit, you were talking about the importance of history and so forth as you're traveling. And I remember looking in your bio, and you talked about how a lot of these tours, they try to avoid things like politics and religion, but you think that that's important, because it gives you a better overall, like say, a broad stroke picture of the region. Could you kind of expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you picked up on it. It's the sole reason that I was hired by Rick Steves, the company. Having lived in America, I understand you guys and the differences politically, religiously, between factions within various parts of the United States. I understand you fairly well as an adult. And to be able to bring those tools to the table and tour through Britain means that I can take topical issues from the States, but portray them in a British way, with a British viewpoint. Now, if Americans on board that bus don't understand what I'm saying and that it is relevant to their situation, then I'll make damn clear that it's relevant to them. Because I do find that if I can get Americans, not just Americans, anybody from either side of the fence to talk to each other, then talking will solve most ailments. It will solve most problems, be they religious, be they political. And through experience, that's absolutely the case. I'm used to having people from different political persuasions and different religious persuasions on the same vehicle, on the same bus. You have them. I can manhandle. I can manipulate them. I can mentor them for 2 weeks. And at the end of it, most of them go away with a friend from the other side.
You do have a strong temperament. And I guess you have to have that to do what you do with meeting so many different people, tours once or twice a year
Yeah.
or three times a year. You have to have that built in.
It's something that, you know, you have to be a leader. You're father to 12 people.
Right.
You're the best brother to 12 people. You're married to 12 people. They're your children for 2 weeks. You have to be responsible and you have to be a leader. Otherwise, you have 12 people standing in a room not knowing what's going to happen next or why. And that's the crucial word. Why are we doing this? What are we going to see and why are we going to see it? And again, if it's a cathedral, you can talk about religion. If you go into a government building, you can talk about politics. So it opens the door for discussion. And many guides don't do that because they think they're going to spark a riot. Well, if they do it incorrectly, they will. You know, people will end up throwing books at each other or
Right.
candle at each other. But if you do it correctly and use a little bit of humor, but also a little bit of solid background knowledge, you can get people to bring their barriers down and have a glass of wine and start to discuss things without swearing at each other. And I love it. I always think every new collection of 12 people is a challenge. I absolutely love it. That first night to me is a real adrenaline rush. Other guys are scared to death of the first night because they don't know what they're going to get. I love it because I know there's going to be a challenge there. I've got a background when I was a young man, and I mean young, 11 years old, I took up the sport of rugby union. Which I know most Americans are becoming familiar with these days.
Yes,
It's a
yeah.
growing sport in America. It's
kind of like American football.
It is like
without
American football.
all
Yeah,
the
it's actually
attachments.
on a global scale. It's the second most. It's the second largest sport in the world,
Right,
only to
right.
soccer. And most nations play it. We have a World Cup every 4 years, etc., etc. But anyway, I went up through the ranks as a young player, and every Sunday I'd go down to my local club and teach 11-year-olds how to play the sport. So as I became a teenager, I'm teaching 11-year-olds. When I'm 25 playing the sport, I'm teaching 11-year-olds because I always thought that a team sport is character building in so many ways. I don't need to go into that. We all know it is. But I wound up eventually playing for what is now the best club in Europe. And they were in the early 80s when I played for them and finished playing. And they have just become so again now. But it was being mentored by people who trained me in a meaningful way. I found that when I went into the workforce as a young bloke, as we say, I was able to pass on some of those skills and mentor the people that worked for me in a meaningful way, not just with the skills, but with the mentality, with the ilk to learn and pass on those skills themselves. You know, create that enthusiasm in what it is they're doing. And I think tour guiding is no different to that. It's exactly the same. So as I say, this is a second profession. And my first career, even when I was playing rugby as a young man, I was training to be. Today we use the word artisan much more than we did in the 70s and 80s. But an artisan is somebody who is a tradesman, but is a creative tradesman,
Right.
essentially. It could be a woodworker, joiner. It could be a painter, a decorator. My forte was historical restorations of the murals and wall paintings, ceiling paintings. And the company I worked for got into some of the most prestigious buildings in Britain. And I was very lucky to be involved in that. Of course, that's kept my love of history alive. And you know, here I still am with a love of history. So that's another story in somebody's life, isn't it? It's
Let's circle back around and talk about Seymour Travels.
Yeah.
For those travel enthusiasts and those who want to be part of that crowd, I guess. If someone wants to get a hold of you or get in touch with Seymour Travels, first of all, is there a website?
There is. It's Seymour, as in Seymour, Travels, Travels, all one word, .co.uk. So SeymourTravels.co.uk.
So they go to that website they can see perhaps what trips are coming up or where it's going to be available. How far out do they need to book a tour with your company to get on board?
You know you
I
asked
know
the
the
question because you know the
procedure.
problems. Yeah. We are a small company. We do about 19 tours a year with
Yeah.
maybe a dozen people on each tour. So I'm already sold out completely for 26 now. Just the last two bookings, last two places went last night. So I'm
Wow.
done now. I may create another couple of places for our Christmas tour at the end of 26, but as yet I haven't. 27, we're already 70% full.
And 27's tour is where? What part of the world?
We're doing Salzburg, we're doing Berlin, we're doing Switzerland, we're doing Orkney in the north of Britain, we're doing East Anglia, we're doing Yorkshire Dales again, we're doing North Wales, we are doing Burgundy, we're doing Loire Valley, Brittany, Normandy again. So quite a, and some of those twice. So quite a lot. But we do sell out fast. And I always say to people, if you're interested, just speak to me, send me an email, and we'll lock something in for you. We'll work it out. But if you wait and get that last minute booking, there is no last minute booking. We have a wait list on all of our tours as long as your arm. 2028, I don't even have that page on the website yet, and we've already sold 45 tours. There's no itinerary on those tours. Because they're on the buses with us, they say, I want to be on that tour. So they're on that tour. We're very ethical in that regards.
And you get a lot of repeat
Yeah, we do.
people that come back to your company, come back to your tours because of the fact of how much information you're able to give. The guides are able to do the same, and they just love how you coordinate things with Seymour Travels.
Yeah, we've got a 93% retention rate. People that come with us come back with us 93% of the time. Rick Steves in the industry in America is probably the highest percentage at 52%.
Oh,
We've got 93%, nearly twice as much. So we're doing something right, and I'm very proud of that. We've cultivated that. We want people to come back.
so AP, you're looking at 28 for you and Rose.
The other thing,
They do this, don't they?
yeah, you talk about it a lot, Mark, in so many different ways. But I was reading that what got you into this profession was people,
Yeah.
because you just really enjoy people, and I could pick that up a lot in what you were talking about, how you treat the guest, how you want to make sure that they understand, like you're saying, what's coming next, why is it coming next. So give me a little bit more about how it is that people mean so much to you in this profession.
It's actually Victor and I were talking earlier on, and it goes right back to there was a time in my life when I was a young teenager. So I'm a young man. I've got at that point in time, I have a brother, two sisters, one elder, one younger, and two parents, as many of us do. And there was a bit of a tragedy just in my formative years before I went off to university. In the space of 12 months, I lost three members of that six-member family. And each one of them was separate, each one of them was different. And each one of them hit every bit as hard as the last one. And at that point in time, we survived. My elder sister, myself, and my brother. There's 2 years between each of us, and I think we always puzzle over why was it us who survived. What was the cause? There is no cause. We all know that there is no cause. So there's no rationalizing that, but you think about it and you internalize it and you try and rationalize it. And I think that you can come out of it the other end a better person or a lesser person. And I think the three of us came out of it better people. As young people, we had to make our way in the world. And to do that, you have to work out the people around you, the society around you. In my case, the cultures around me. And you're on your own. You're on your own. as I was as a 16-year-old on my own. And you've got to make things work for yourself.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to get other people or encourage other people to work with you, not for you, but with you. And I learned that very early. And the best way, and again, that goes back to the mentoring as well. I enjoy people because you immediately see, you get instant gratification when you say do X, Y, or Z, and they do it, and they do it astoundingly well. There's incredible gratification from that.
Yeah.
So throughout my life, I've enjoyed watching that and going through that process. But it comes from that early stages when I had to grow up very, very quickly and recognize things in people that perhaps I didn't even know about myself. And see them acquire those skills and put them into practice quickly was wonderful. Absolute joy.
Well, it's been really great talking with you and meeting you there, Mark. Appreciate it. Vic, did you have anything else before we let you go?
I just want to say that, for Denver people who love to travel, and you've been thinking about traveling outside of Denver, Colorado, and maybe you want to go somewhere to Europe, check out Seymour Travels at what is it?
SeymourTravels.co.uk.
UK, yeah. Check it out. See what he's got. Like he said, if you're watching this, you heard earlier, this year's gone, next year's gone, 27 is dang near gone. So you can get ahead. 28 is coming soon.
And tune into my Facebook post. You'll find me. Just use the same word, Seymour Travels. You'll find me. Every day I write. I just read one to Victor earlier on. I write a story. Literally, is a story about perhaps a fictional, perhaps a non-fictional character from history in a region that we visit. Sometimes humorous, sometimes an assault on your emotions. I hope it's an assault on some people's emotions. And I put it out there, and anybody has access to those. If they're following me on Facebook, they'll see those each morning. There's a new one. And even if they don't get on a tour, there's something there of interest. I mean, AP, you're involved in communicating with the public in the same way I try to be. It's outreach. And Facebook is, for me at least, is a good tool for that. Writing short scenarios about historical characters or episodes in history to get people engaged, get them to start thinking a little bit about what's going on around them.
Yeah. Mark, I just want to again thank you for taking this time of night, because it's night here, 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where AP is. And we've got to get up early for another trip tomorrow. But thank you. Yeah, another one. But thank you so much for the information and sharing your story of your company, your love, Seymour Travels.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you both.